All right, so part B, how to determine if a graph is a function. So here you're going to be given a picture, and you're going to determine if that picture shows us a function or not. And to do that, you're going to use what's called the vertical line test. Use the vertical line test. And the vertical line test says, I'm going to zoom in on this, if any one of the vertical lines crosses the graph more than once, it fails the test. I'll abbreviate VLT right there, vertical line test. Don't let me lose you, VLT, vertical line test. It fails the vertical line test, meaning it's not a function. If it passes the vertical line test and it only crosses once, then you're golden and it is a function. So you use the vertical line test. If any one of them crosses the graph more than once, it fails the vertical line test. Okay, so let's look at some examples. So the important thing when you're using the vertical line test is to make sure that you're showing it in the graph and to make sure that you're drawing more than one vertical line, because it might change depending on where you draw your vertical line. So I'm going to use blue. So looking at my first example here, if I draw a bunch of vertical lines going through my graph, do any one of those vertical lines touch that graph or cross that graph more than once? This one touches it here, this one here, this one here, this one here, 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 here. None of those cross more than once. So this first example is a function because it passes the vertical line test. And when you're looking at graphs, that's going to be the explanation you go off of. So yes, a function because it passes the vertical line test. And I'm just going to reiterate what that means in this first example and in this first example only. Each vertical line drawn only hit the graph once. That means it's a pass. Looking at our second example here, the circle, such a pretty circle. If you go through and draw your vertical lines, do that vertical line test, I'm using orange this time, you might be seeing that we have some problems here because these lines hit this circle twice, which is a problem. So, leading us to conclude that no, this is not a function, or we can just say not a function. We don't have to say no. It wasn't asking us a yes or no question. Not a function because it fails the vertical line test. Boom. That vertical line, more than one of them, it doesn't have to be more than one, just one, but all of them hit that graph more than once, and that's a problem. And last example here with the graphs, again, vertical line test. Whoop, 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 whoop. And going back through, none of those are hitting that graph more than once. So yes, a function, it passed the vertical line test. And we're very happy about that. So the one last thing I wanted to talk about was going back to this example 2, looking at why this is not a function. If I real quick sketched a graph of that, so here are my axes, my x is 1 the whole time. So x is 1, negative 2 would be about here, negative 1 would be about here, 0 would be there, 1 would be there. So you can see I'm creating a vertical line. If I try to do a vertical line with vertical line test, how many times is that vertical line going to cross my vertical line? An infinite number of times. So, moral of the story here, ladies and gents, and we are going to put that at the top of this page right here. Vertical lines are not functions. They fail the VLT. They intersect with each other an infinite number of times. And I'm just going to, again, show a diagram of that. If I have a vertical line, it fails your VLT. Let's spell out the word infinite because we know we can't really read my writing. Finite. Each one of these points on this line is it crossing more than once. So keeping that in mind.